If you're thinking about moving to Austin, Texas, there are 10 things where if you cannot stand these things, you are gonna absolutely hate it here, okay? Now, I'm gonna share with you my personal opinion of like the 10 worst things about living here, but spoiler alert, I do live here and actually love living here. And also, one more caveat, these are not 10 like stupid negative things, like the people are too nice, or like the food is too amazing here. Like these are 10 actually really challenging things about living in Austin. So let's jump into it. Number 1, the relentless summer heat. Okay, now I know that that's probably not the most mind-blowing negative about Austin, is like Texas is hot. So kinda everybody knows that, but here in Central Texas, like it really is relentless and it just feels constant, especially in like the late spring, summer, and even early fall months. So like, especially in the summer, we can have multiple days, even weeks, even sometimes months of having like over 100-degree weather. And I think a lot of people like who move here from the Northeast, they think about that and they're kind of like, well, like there's a lot of reasons to love it. It's okay. And then they actually move here and they get a feeling for what 100 degrees actually feels like in Texas. And it is just simply unbearable, okay? Now, I'm a born and raised Texan, so like, honestly, it doesn't bother me that much. Like, but if you're gonna live here, you just have to get really comfortable with sweating a lot. Like, you just have to own it. You have to embrace it. But I'll be honest, as a 6th generation Texan, and actually 6th generation Austinite, technically, I still like, when we're in the dead heat of summer, like the dead middle of summer, every now and then I still have the thought of just like, oh yeah, like, can I do this again? And I always do, but it's tough. Number 2, the property taxes here are no joke. All right, so there's no two ways about it. And when you're in the Central Texas area, your annual property tax rate is gonna be anywhere from probably the low 2s to the low 3%. And that's a percentage of your total home's value, okay? So if you got $600,000 house, which is not that expensive of a house in the city of Austin, but if you have a $600,000 house, your property tax bill could be upwards of $18,000, okay? And that can just give people some major property tax, I call it property tax shock, but it's major sticker shock, okay? Now, something to keep in mind is that in Texas, we do not have a state income tax. So if you're moving here from out of state, like a lot of the times my team, they meet with people and our potential clients are like, oh man, like these property taxes are nuts. But then we actually look at the savings they get from not having to pay a state income tax. And oftentimes it balances itself out. And actually it's an advantage to be here and pay our property taxes. But there's honestly no two ways about it. Like if you are moving from a state that also doesn't have a state income tax and you have to pay our property taxes, it can be utterly shocking. So if you're sitting there and you're just like, God, like, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't know how the property tax situation will affect me specifically, definitely reach out to us. Our team would love to sit with you, crunch the numbers with our team's lender, and just really try to figure out how it'll shake out for you personally with the property taxes here. Number 3, traffic is a daily struggle, okay? So Austin is a great world-class kind of metropolitan city, a modern city, but we do not have a lot of the conveniences of like public transportation that a lot of cities have. We don't have the robust public transportation infrastructure like a lot of cities. You know, like I've even been to like Seattle and LA, San Francisco, but especially places like Chicago, New York City, places like that that have really great public transit infrastructure. You're just not gonna get that in Austin at all. It's gonna be very dependent on cars, okay? Now, we do have a bus system and there is a kind of metro rail system that is just like a one rail, two-way train, but there aren't a lot of options. Again, compared to a lot of these other comparable cities, like they just don't run very frequently. They're not as dependable. So you're going to be very dependent on car transportation. And on that note, some of our roads are infamous for having really terrible traffic. So I-35 and Mopac they both run parallel to one another. Like there are kind of north-south thoroughfares in Austin. And I always joke that they're created by Satan himself. I do everything I can to avoid those roads. In fact, we were just filming this video and I missed a turn earlier. So now I have to get on a Mopac and I'm just like, oh no. So I'll let you know our experience driving on Mopac here in just a little bit. Like, for example, like we are on Highway 71, waiting to get onto 290, waiting to get on Mopac. And look, we are not moving at all. We're just sitting here. And look at all the red on that map. Look at it. We're just sitting here. But you know, even in some of our great Austin suburbs, for example, like Round Rock and Georgetown are a couple that I think of that have really just blown up and exploded in growth over the last several years. Even to get to different places from place to place within those suburbs sometimes can take forever. Like, Aaron, I remember one time we were in Round Rock shooting a video and we just had to go from one side of Round Rock to the other. And I think it took us like 20 minutes and it's a suburb, okay? So no matter how you cut it, traffic is going to be a daily struggle for you unless you work unorthodox business hours or you work from home or like you just love sitting in the car and you like listening to audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that. I don't know. All right, number 4 is that the allergies here will try to kill you. Okay, so allergies in Central Texas are crazy. And like, seriously, sometimes I think everything in the air is trying to kill you here. Okay, so we've got cedar, mold, ragweed, there's oak pollen. Like, who's allergic to oak? All right, apparently people in Austin are allergic to oak. Now there's this really crazy thing that happens here, and a lot of people, I hardly ever see people talking about this ever, especially not on YouTube. And you wouldn't know this unless and until you had lived here for like a decade. But a lot of the times, like people who have never struggled with allergies in their lives suffer from allergies when they move here. So I know a lot of people who moved here and they're like, I don't have any allergies. I'm not allergic to anything at all, ever. And I'm like, you might want to just think about it. And then it turns out they come here and like the first pollen season, they're just like, oh my God, man, I can't breathe. And I'm like, yes, I'm telling you, it's the real deal. But what happens is a lot of times people, like, I don't know what it is, your body is like inoculated or something for a very for a very limited amount of time. So like for me, it was right about 10 years. So for the first 10 years I lived in Austin, people were always telling me about the allergies. I was like, yo, I think I'm just like epic. I think I'm just like, I have a really strong immune system, or my body's just like so strong. I don't get allergies. And then year 10, ooh, like it hit me like a ton of bricks. And now I'm just like, oh, like I get it. And for me, for like 2.5, maybe 3 months out of the year, I have a headache constantly. I have to blow my nose like every 15-20 minutes. Like it is a struggle. And again, I'm just telling you, research it. The air is trying to kill you in Austin. Sorry to tell you. All right, now number 5 is that housing affordability has gotten out of control. Okay, now we're here in the back half of 2025 and definitely the market has cooled down a lot. It is a lot more of a buyer's market than I have seen in the last 11 years. It's actually the best buyer's market in the last 17 years, I heard from an economist recently, a real estate economist. But even so, like prices are just nuts. I mean, in COVID, like the market went absolutely nuclear. And even though things have come down slightly, it's still crazy, y'all. And like, I know a lot of people who are in the service industry, you know, so they're like waiters, bus people. I don't want to say bus boy, bus people. Sounds weird. You know, baristas and things like that who just like cannot live in the city of Austin without having like several roommates or something like that. And there's a lot of people who are like, man, I'm like 30 years old. I don't want a roommate. And that's just like really sad that a lot of people who work in the industries that make Austin literally cannot afford to live in Austin. And so sometimes I just, in my most cynical days, I'm just like, man, like it almost seems like the only way you can afford a house in Austin right now is if you've got a big fat tech salary or you're like a trust fund kid or something like that. And that's just bummer. All right, if you're still watching this video, you can see that we like to give people the real deal information about Austin, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. So if you're finding value out of this, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and let us know, like, what do you think are some things that are kind of negative about Austin that maybe we missed? All right, and number 6, I'm just memorizing these guys. No, I'm just kidding. Number 6 is that Austin just isn't as weird as it once was. So if you know anything about Austin, you probably know that our motto is, keep Austin weird. And that's kind of like the battle cry of Austin. Like, Austin never really wanted to be like a massive metropolitan city. It's kind of this battle cry for like, buy local, sell local, shop local, support local artists, support local musicians, and support local businesses and things like that. And I definitely think that is still there in the spirit of Austin. Like, a lot of people move here because of that. However, there's no way around it. Like, again, over the last several years, especially since COVID, but even before that, Austin, the vibes have just changed, and it's not this like quirky, artsy, musical college town like it used to be. And some people love that and some people hate it. And yeah, like a lot of kind of old school Austin people feel like, a lot of tech people, a lot of business people, maybe a lot of Californians came into Austin and they made it just kind of like their bougie playground. And like one part of town that I think is really illustrative with this is a great example of this is South Congress. So South Congress used to be like this famous spot in Austin where it was just like, super local. I actually used to work at Home Slice Pizza on South Congress when I was in college and a little bit after. And it was just like everything up and down South Congress was local. You'd hear music just pouring out of every little bar, pub, local weird shops like Lucy in Disguise, or just like a costume store is like super freaking weird. Well, now you go down South Congress and it's like almost unrecognizable. Like, honestly, I don't really know the names of the stores because I don't shop at places like that. But like, do you know some of the places on South Congress?
Yeah.
Like what? What are they, Eric?
There's like a Taguba's, Halibros.
Halibros, Tacovas. There's some really also like bougie. There's like a, I want to say Balenciaga. Like I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, like some, I don't know. I think it's called like Broken Mason or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They're like an Everlane and stuff like that. I don't know. Like, I feel so disconnected from South Congress right now, which used to be just like this beating heart of Austin. And now it's like still a ton of people go there, but it doesn't really have that spirit that Austin used to have down there. They try to do it, but it definitely feels manufactured, in my opinion. And you'll definitely see that with like several of the kind of Austin institutions around town. You know what's funny is like we got in a Mopac and look at it. It's like there's no traffic here. I'm driving 65 miles an hour, no problem. I don't know what I'm talking about, guys. All right, so number 7 is you are going to have bugs, snakes, and nature in your yard in Austin and around Austin, okay? So this is something that a lot of people get surprised about, especially moving here kind of from the East Coast to the West Coast, where like, I assume they have nature there. Like there are wild animals out there, but here the wild animals are just a lot more up close and personal. So y'all, like literally I was just texting with a past client about this yesterday. I can remember when we were looking at houses with her a couple years ago, we saw this just like huge rat snake on the doorstep of one of the houses that we saw. And she was freaking awesome. She's like, hey man, I'm from the country. Like she got an umbrella out of her car and just like, I mean, there's like the thing was this thick, okay? I mean, it was nuts. And anyway, we texting her yesterday. It was like, hey, what's up? How you doing? How is the house still okay? Whatever, like seeing any wild animals? And she was like, yeah, actually in this past year, I found 2 rattlesnakes in my garage, a possum, a raccoon, and then something else. And I was like, what the frick? Like rattlesnakes, y'all. Anyway, now most people are not out finding rattlesnakes in their garages, but the wildlife here, there's like, deer, raccoons, possums, armadillos, and things like that. Like coyotes even sometimes I saw a coyote once on a bike ride in the middle of Austin at 29th Street in Lamar. Okay, it's like right by the UT campus. So getting comfortable with the wildlife here is just kind of something that you need to get used to in Austin. So I actually am totally curious. If you're in Austin and you've had some crazy wildlife encounters, drop a comment down below. Even if you're not in Austin, I'm super curious about people's wildlife encounters. And number 8 is that it is not just hot in the Austin area, it's also dry, okay? And here's what I mean by that. So there are areas that are honestly just as hot as Austin, like Houston and Dallas. But like, let's talk about Houston, okay? Houston is freaking hot and muggy. However, it rains a ton in the Houston area, okay? I grew up there, trust me. But in Austin, in the Central Texas area, we regularly experience like extended periods of drought. And so it's really just kind of a double whammy. And man, like, I'll be honest, like sometimes you know, this summer we've had a lot of rain, and it's actually, there's been a lot of really hard things about having a lot of rain, and there's been some tragedy in the area. But one of the good things about it is that like things are lush, things are blooming, things are popping, and like it's just really lush and beautiful right now in Austin. But a lot of years we have these really bad droughts, and just like everything is just brown and super crunchy. And like I know people who have gotten pools because they're like I mentioned, it's really freaking hot here. So like, I'm gonna get a pool, which sounds really great until your pool becomes like a giant bathtub. All right, like I've swam in people's pools here recently where it's just like you jump in and you expect it to be nice and cool and refreshing, and you get in there and you're just like, oh, like this is like room temperature water. This is kind of gross. But that's kind of more related to the hot stuff. The dry stuff, like, man, it's just Lake Travis has been looking really sad lately. Huge feature of the Austin area, and like over the last several years it's just been down, and it's just like really sad. Like people's docks and boats are just like basically just sitting like 100 yards from the lake shore. It's just like on dry land. It's just like incredibly sad. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen that? It's pretty nuts. All right, number 9 is that the homelessness crisis is super visible, and that mostly applies to Central Austin. And before I go on about this, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge, like, seriously, the homelessness crisis is a lot harder for the homeless people than it is for us, right? And I just want to acknowledge that. And people are without homes for so many different reasons, and I don't pretend to know what those reasons are. So I just want to make sure I throw that out there. But yeah, it's like, it's a real thing. And I mean, it's super visible, and it's definitely gotten a lot worse since COVID. Sometimes I think it's gotten better, and then I go through weeks where I'm just like, no, like I think it's as bad as it's ever been. And so like growing up coming here, you know, like I said, my dad's from here, my grandparents are from here, my grandparents are from here. So I've been visiting Austin my entire life before living here for almost 20 years. And like, I just don't remember seeing this. Like I remember every now and then you would see someone on the corner asking for money or something, but now it's just like, man, you got people freaking wigging out consistently. And so like, even in my Central Austin neighborhood, like sometimes like if my daughter just wants to like walk to the convenience store to buy some Airheads or something, I'm kind of like I think I need to go with you. And you know, like a lot of people in leadership in Austin pretend like they know how to fix it, but they don't. Like if you know how to fix the homelessness crisis, call me. All right, call me and I will talk to you. But there is no simple fix, and nobody really knows what to do to help, and these people need help. All right. Now, I will say my team has a ton of experience helping people find like the perfect spot for them all over town. Like I know someone recently, they did not work with us. They bought a home and they didn't realize that it was right across the street from a park where after a certain time of the day, like in the evening, like a lot of really rough characters kind of gather there and do their thing. And it was they were just like mortified, and they would have not wanted to move there if they had known. And so that's why you need to call us so that we can really point you in the right direction. And like, we know what pockets of Austin are the safest, and like our team knows where you need to be. Okay. All we need to know is a few things that you love, a few things that you hate, and they can point you in the right direction. All right. Now the number 10 thing that you might hate about Austin is that choosing the wrong area could hurt. All right. Kind of similar to what I was just talking about. I have never experienced another city. Well, I've never experienced another city like I've experienced Austin, let's be real. But I've never experienced another city where you can't know if you're in a good area just by knowing what area you're in. And here's what I mean by that. Like you might say, you know, Hyde Park is one of the best neighborhoods in all of Central Austin, in my opinion. But if you were to ask our team, hey guys, is Hyde Park a great area? They're going to tell you what street, you know, because for example, like there's sections of Avenue B and Avenue C that are awesome, but then there's sections of Avenue A and Avenue B that like you probably want to steer away from. And so it's really hard to know exactly what spot that you need to land in unless you have extensive knowledge of the area. There can even be certain spots in certain suburbs, like we talked about earlier, where like, you know, you could be in Leander, and like one spot in Leander could have 15-minute longer of a commute than another spot in Leander to downtown Austin. And it's just like, again, not every spot in Leander is created equally. So if you do not have extreme, extensive experience and knowledge about all the spots of Austin, and you're thinking about moving here, do not do it alone. You have to reach out to us so that we can point you in the right spot. But if you want to get a full extensive lay of the land of the greater Austin area, check out our Maps Tour playlist right here.